18. We're glad she showed up. Amy Beaulieu, we appreciate you coming. We ask that you share a minute and a half about yourself and your candidacy, and then we'll open it up to our panel for questions. So go right ahead, Amy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. My name is Amy Beaulieu, and I'm running for Assembly District 18, which is the far east side of the valley, and incorporated Clark County, Whitney Branch, the Boulder Highway area down to Warm Springs. I've been married for 18 years to my college sweetheart, Peter, and we have a son, a second grader at Explore Knowledge Academy, and we've lived in the Whitney area for 10 years. I have a degree in journalism and political science from Culver-Stockton College, and I have a master's in hospitality administration from UNLV, and I was the program's first graduate. I've worked in nonprofits for most of my life, and I've worn many different hats, meeting an event planner, managing staff and volunteers, and director of policy and programs. And I've also taught part-time at UNLV in the Hotel College. I've served at the international level for Meeting Planners International, where I took the lead in addressing multicultural issues. And then locally, I've served on the boards of the following: the College of Southern Nevada, the Cardiorespiratory Science Program. I was a board member of the Nevada Cancer Coalition. I was a board member of the Southern Nevada Health and Immunization Coalition. And then I've also served twice as a chapter advisor for Alpha Psi Delta at UNLV. And I'm no stranger to politics. I went through the 11 and 13 sessions as the director of policy for a local nonprofit. I worked on 7 different bills in the 11 session and 2 bills in 13. And because of my public health advocacy,
Just finish up.
I was honored as Public Health Advocate of the Year in 2012 by the Nevada Public Health Association. My family and I also support the arts. We're season subscribers to the Broadway series at the Smith Center. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Amy, very much. We'll start with Ms. Lee. She can give our first question.
Good afternoon, Amy. Currently, several state legislators are passing drone privacy legislation. Seeing that Nevada has already been chosen as one of the 6 states designated for domestic UAV testing program, what would you do as a legislator to ensure that this technology is not used to violate Nevada's 4th Amendment protections?
I would think we'd have to take a very close look at the bill and make sure that privacy protections were in place. So, what does that mean? Are there going to be designated areas that they wouldn't be able to fly over, perhaps residential areas? They wouldn't be able to, and only expose them to private or public areas, things of that nature.
Thank you. Mr. Blanchard.
Oh, Amy, thank you for being here. It's been a long day. I'll make this short and sweet. Margins tax, education initiative, question number 3. Want to know if you're for it, against it, and if you were elected and were to go up to Carson City, would you feel the need to sponsor a bill or back a bill that would sort of replace the margins tax if it were to fail, like a sales tax on services or some other kind of funding deal for the state?
Sure. So I've lived here for 10 years, and the formula's been broken for a very long time. So I haven't seen anything else that has come up by the other side. So I would say, unfortunately, yes, that I would support the margins tax because there's nothing else that has been proposed. It's certainly not perfect. It would get some money coming in, but I think also taking a look at the formula, because of the inequities that are happening within inside the state, need to be fixed too. I don't know that we need as much money as everybody says if those formulas were fixed. They were created back in the 1960s.
Thank you. Mr. Wells.
Thank you for being here this afternoon. You mentioned that you were involved with some political nonprofits in the past, or you still are?
No,
Oh,
I was.
yeah, you were. Okay.
Yes.
So, what was the nonprofit, and was it all privately funded or partially government funded?
No, I worked for the American Lung Association, and I was the director of policy and programs for the last 5.5 years. I left them back in August, partly to focus on the campaign. And they're funded, they're a nonprofit, they're funded from a variety of sources, local fundraisers, grants, things of that nature.
Hi, Amy, thanks for coming. What's your position on citizens and gun ownership and using guns for self-protection?
Sure. So what I like to call it is safe and sane. Go ahead and have your weapons, but be a safe owner of them. You know, there's so many stories that come out with children who are accessing the weapons and accidentally shooting their friends, shooting their cousins, playmates. So go ahead and have the weapons, but secure them. And the other part of that, of what I like to call the safe and sane ownership, is to have people who are mentally ill not have access to the weapons. So safe and sane.
How would you define mentally ill?
Well, it would have to be something like if they had been formally committed to a mental institution, and that's part of what our laws already are in place.
Thank you. Doctor?
America spends more money on healthcare than most developed countries, and yet is at the bottom of the scale. What can be done about that?
For healthcare in general?
For healthcare for the American public, yeah.
Well, clearly, you know, with Obamacare, they're trying to change the system. Again, it's not perfect, but also we can't go backwards to it. One of the things that's important to me on my platform is helping parents who have children who have autism, and so being able to help them reach resources a lot more quickly. A lot of times when a child, for example, is diagnosed with autism, here in Nevada, they can wait up to 2.5 years before they can access any sort of treatment. So in that particular area, I would like to see that a little bit faster because, you know, if a kid could get help a lot quicker in the development years, then, you know, they can progress a lot farther, a lot faster. In general for healthcare, you know, it's the whole thing. We're not funding education very well, we're not funding healthcare very well, and it's an access issue, especially here in Nevada. And you've got places like Ely and Winnemucca and so forth where, you know, they maybe have
Finish, please.
one hospital, you know, 90 miles away or 100 miles away. And so it's definitely a question of access.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. I realize that times are tough. I realize that businesses need to lay off employees to keep their doors open. And I realize it's important that we help each other out. But what do you think about unemployment lasting 2 years?
Well, here, I mean, it's friends and neighbors are still absolutely employed because the jobs simply aren't there. I don't think that maybe there should be a weaning system that's there because sometimes I think people have to take a look. If the jobs are not here, and even if their families are, sometimes you do have to make those hard choices and go where the jobs are. Over the last, 18 years, my husband and I had moved 4 times before we finally settled here in Nevada. And that was because of education and job choices. So, when the construction boom ended up dying down and a lot of people were still here, the construction is never going to come back to how it was during the boom. So they either A, need to go for retraining for something else that they can do, or they need to go where the jobs are.
Mr. Broadway's gonna go first, but you're not gonna hit her when you're done. Go right ahead.
She did jab me with a pen.
Oh, okay.
Suck it up, man. Suck it up.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions, for or against.
Okay?
Campus carry,
No.
gay marriage,
Yes.
state lottery,
Yes.
children of undocumented immigrants / illegals going to school.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't want your skin going. I've been pretty much asking the same question too. Animal abuse has really been coming into light this year, especially with the arson case and all that. And I'm going to actually change it up for you guys. What do you feel regarding what happened regarding the Animal Foundation holding on to those 27 puppies as long as they did?
I thought personally it was a shame. I mean, it wasn't doing the puppies any good being there, and it wasn't the puppies' fault. So they needed to get into homes as soon as possible.
questions of the panel? Karen does.
Oh,
It always throws in from the
Here
back.
comes the badger.
Be
Good
prepared.
afternoon, Amy, and thank you for joining us here today. I'll try to make this brief.
You get 30 seconds of the time.
Let me know if you have heard of, agree with, or are a part of Agenda 21, ICLEI, and Common Core.
Could you repeat the first two?
Are you aware of those programs? Do you agree with them, or are you a part of them?
So I haven't heard the first two, but I definitely have heard of Common Core. And so my general thoughts on that is that, you know, and this is the example that I have heard when I've been out in the community, is that Common Core, especially for people who are moving from state to state, that if Common Core was in place across the nation, that when people have to move, and especially like military families or anybody, that when they go from one state to another state, what they learn, say, in second grade is going to be what they learned in second grade in the next state over. So it's a standardization of English and of math. And so that way they're not behind when they move around.
Is that what you've heard other people tell you that it is, or is that what you've learned for yourself what it is?
Both. I've looked into it. I have a lot of teacher friends, and then especially having a second grader, you know, I'm very interested in what they're learning. And also I want to explain, my son goes to a public charter school that's here. So his learning system is slightly different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of the panel? Great. Well, thank you, Amy, very much, and good luck in your campaign.